Welcome to the Reality of Herbal Therapy podcast. So today I wanted to talk about another one of the herbs in the 20 herb kit. Basically, these are the most common, but they're also the most useful. So the one I want to talk to you about today is catnip. So if you're familiar with catnip, it's some cats really like it, which is interesting. Some cats love it, some cats hate it. It just kind of depends on the cat. And that's where it gets the name catnip from. It's a member of catnip is one of those herbs in the mint family. And when you start looking at a lot of the really common herbs, especially in aromatherapy, a lot of them are mint family. So the mint family makes up a kind of plant. They only grow to a couple of feet tall. They have like a squarish stem. So like if you rolled the stem between your fingers, it would kind of like slip because it's got a square stem. The leaves grow opposite each other. So it grows two leaves opposite of each other, and it's kind of got like a little tubular flower. So for a lot of essential oils, they either use the flower or the leaf. So in catnip, we use the leaf is the part that gets used. So I want to talk to you a little bit today about what is catnip, how it's used, and some things that you can do with it for health. So a great story. Catnip is something that we've always used with our young children to help them with them anytime that they have like colic or upset stomach or anything. There's a wonderful blend, catnip and fennel. You mix those two together and it's amazing for digestion, any colicky symptoms, gas, things like that. That's why both of those herbs are enzyme. So we were mixing a couple of tinctures. So it was hard to find the separate. So we were mixing some. So we got out this cup, mixed up the catnip and the fennel, and then poured it back into the bottles and had just set the cup down. Well, we had this cat. It went bonkers. It like knocked the cup on the floor, and it was doing all it could to like climb up inside the cup and try and get in it. And it was rolling around on the floor and making these funny meowing sounds like, it just really, really loved this catnip. So we knew that cat loved catnip. So it's a fun, like, some cats really like it. It can cause like symptoms of almost intoxication in cats. So you don't want to like have it around too much. Some people will get like catnip grass. So just as it's starting to grow and have it around for their cats to lay in. So we kind of talked a little bit about catnip. It's a member of the mint family. Like I said, the mint family is huge. There's a lot of plants. And most of the mint family, they have a very distinctive smell. So that's where they get their essential oil use. So, peppermint, spearmint, lavender, catnip, those are all part of the mint family. They're very strong, but they're also, any of the mint family herbs they help with digestion. So a lot of digestive formulas will have multiple herbs from the mint family. So going back to zyme, it's got catnip, but it's also got peppermint, spearmint. So it's, those mint families are very easy on the digestion. So if you're having upset stomach or anything like that, catnip or any of the mint family are really helpful for that. So catnip, it's kind of like a darker gray plant. It has these little white flowers on it when it's growing. It's a pretty plant. Most of the mint family are really pretty plants too. So a lot of people will grow any of the mint families, and then they hang them partly for the smell, but also for the pretty. So you'll see like lavender sprigs, like people hang them just for the pretty of it, but also for the smell. It kind of really helps with the smell. So where does catnip grow? Everywhere. Most of the mint families grow everywhere. It's native to Europe and Asia, but because it's such a useful plant as far as digestion and some other things, it's been kind of like brought around the world. So it grows well in North America and Europe and parts of Asia. So it's a really common thing. A lot of people like I said, use it for calming. So they'll make a tea out of it. Catnip tea it's really, really good. It tastes really good. And it makes a calming tea. So in Native American cultures, they'll use it anytime you have a fever or a cold, like anytime that you're kind of just feeling off, they'd make catnip tea, and it helps with digestion and all sorts of stuff. And like I said, for our babies with colic and stuff, if your baby's old enough and will drink a tea, we would do that quite often with our babies. But catnip, because of the calming nature of it, it's really great for teething babies or babies that have colic or whatever. So as soon as your baby is moving on to supplementing the breast milk, you can give them a tea that's not really, really strong. So it's kind of like flavored water, but it really helps for babies. And if your baby has a hard time sleeping, giving them a little bit of that catnip tea will help them sleep better. So I kind of talked a little bit about what you use it for, relaxation and sleep. It'll a little bit of catnip will help you sleep. A lot of the mint families do. So some people will do like mint and like peppermint and catnip, or spearmint and catnip, like, different teas like that, just for to help you sleep, helps with insomnia, helps you deal with stress. It also helps with digestion, any indigestion, gas, stomach discomfort. A lot of times just a little catnip tea will help to ease that out. Another neat thing about any of the mint families, but especially catnip, is that it will promote sweating. So like if you have a fever and you're having a hard time getting a fever to break, drinking warm catnip tea, like as warm as you can handle it. You don't want it like so hot that it'll burn your mouth or anything like that, but warm catnip tea will help break a fever, and it'll promote sweating. If for some women, they find that when they have menstrual cramps or anything like that, that a little bit of catnip really helps with that. It also has a drying nature to it. So if you were to make a poultice with it, and a poultice is basically you grind up herbs. Most commonly, they use slippery elm as a binder because it turns gooey and holds together. So to make a poultice, it's pretty easy. You just take a little bit of herb that you're wanting. So like, for example, the catnip powder works best in a poultice because then it's kind of everywhere. So you take 2 parts of slippery elm to 1 part of your herb. So in this case, catnip. So like if you're making, and it doesn't take a lot to make a poultice, you just mix your slippery elm and your catnip together, mix it up really well. And then you want to add warm water, just a little bit at a time. So you just add that little bit of water. So like if you're doing, say, 2 tablespoons of slippery elm, 1 tablespoon of the catnip, and then add the hot, warm water a teaspoon at a time, and you mix it up until it makes a paste. It doesn't take much water, but you want kind of a paste, a spreadable paste, so kind of like the consistency of peanut butter. And then anytime you have like a bug bite or something you want to draw it out, or the swelling from a bug bite, like a really itchy one, you make that poultice and put it on the bug bite, and it will soothe it, and it'll kind of draw some of the, depending on what kind of bug bite it is, it'll draw whatever it is that's making it itchy and red and irritated out. So that's one way to make it, to use catnip, is in a poultice. Another way is just like I was talking about earlier, just a tea. You mix the catnip, just a little, like 1 tablespoon of catnip in hot water, boiling water, let it steep for 3 to 5 minutes. And then from there, you just add a little bit of sweetener if you want. Sometimes it's fun to use catnip along with some other herbs, like we talked about, catnip and fennel. Because fennel is a seed, you need to let it boil your fennel for a bit. And then, so like, let it the easiest way to do like catnip and fennel is to put the fennel in and let it simmer for 10 to 15 minutes and then put your catnip in. So then you're not losing all the volatile oils in the catnip. And so that's like how to do it when you're doing a blend of something. Any woody or seeds or anything like that, you want to let them simmer for longer than just a leaf. Tinctures, capsules, we've talked a lot about, how to make tinctures. You can also find catnip in tinctures. It's a common one just because of how much it gets used and stuff. So, and as an essential oil, like it's one of the mint family, so it's got a strong smell, it's a common essential oil, and mosquitoes and stuff don't like it. So if you put a little bit of catnip on, and there's some other essential oils. A lot of mixes will have catnip, lemongrass, some other things that the mosquitoes don't like. So using that and stuff. The interesting thing about like catnip, as far as how it is with people, it's very calming in a person, but in a cat, it kind of like hypes them up and gets them excited and gets them playful and stuff. And there's a lot of herbs that are like that, but also like within people. So it's always a test it on yourself to see how you respond. Sometimes it could have a calming effect, or it could have the opposite effect. So you always want to test that out with herbs. Catnip is one that it's fine, to use all the time. Because of the calming nature, it can like make you drowsy if you use way too much of it. But, if you've got insomnia and you're taking it for that, well, that's a good thing. So I talked a little bit about how catnip, like mosquitoes really don't like it. In studies, they actually found that catnip is more effective than DEET. It just doesn't last as long because, as long as you've got those volatile oils on you and they're coming off of your skin, then the mosquitoes don't like it. But as soon as the oils wear off and stuff, then it's, you have to keep putting it on. But hey, an essential oil is always much better than a chemical that could harm the environment. So another really interesting thing is catnip. This goes for a lot of the mint family because they grow all over Europe and stuff. As we know, in England and in Europe, tea was very common. They quite often would use certain plants that were growing all around them and stuff to make their tea. So before black tea was easy to get, catnip was one of the very common, teas that they would have in the afternoon sort of thing. So let's recap a bit. Catnip is great for calming. It eases cold symptoms, helps with digestion, any gas, bloating, anything like that. Catnip tea, you should be able to find it in any health food store. If not, let me know and we can get you some. And it was wonderful talking to you today about catnip, and we will talk to you later. It is not the intent of professional herbal instruction or any persons associated therewith to diagnose or prescribe. The intent is only to offer herbal information for your consideration. In the event you use this information without your doctor's approval, you are prescribing for yourself, which is your God-given right. But professional herbal instruction or any persons associated herewith assume no responsibility. The claims and statements made on this podcast have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.